I lived in Shanghai, and it was one of the best, but also one of the worst experiences of my life. I got to live in a place that many people consider scary or just have a hard time understanding. And as much as I struggled in the beginning, China taught me many valuable lessons and changed my life forever. And that's why I wanted to share my story, show China through my eyes. China that you probably haven't seen before. On the street. I wanted to give people a glimpse into this very unique and fascinating life of young people from all around the world that choose to make China their home. So I wrote a book about what is it like to be a foreigner living in China's most exciting metropolis, Shanghai. Attending one of the best universities in the country, being a 20-something-year-old, navigating through life in this gigantic, wild city that 25 million people call home, far away from family, friends, and everything that is familiar. I wrote about people who found happiness in China, but also about those who completely lost themselves, who couldn't resist all the temptations that the city had to offer. I wrote about parties and the dark sides of Shanghai's nightlife. I wrote about racism, abuse, cultural conflicts, about why only foreign students were allowed to leave campus at night. I wrote about all these colorful characters I met along the way, and I wrote about the good, but also the bad sides of life in China. The life that I got to experience in Shanghai was a unique one for sure. And I wanted to share my side of the story. I am very happy to announce that my book, I Lived in Shanghai, is finally here. You can get it on Amazon. It's available both as an ebook and in paper format, like the one that I'm holding in my freaking hands right now. Although the one you will order won't have this ugly gray strap here. This is like a before publishing copy that I've ordered. So don't worry. The link where you can purchase the book will of course be down below in the video's description. The only thing I can say right now is that I really hope you will like the book. I am really happy and really proud how it turned out. I do think it's a good book. I really think that I did my best to show China from a different perspective. Because one thing that I definitely realized after living in China is that a lot of people have a very inaccurate image of what China actually is. My goal with this book was to show you China from a different perspective than what we're used to seeing in media. My goal was to show everyday life of people, focus on different topics that we're used to hearing in context of China. And that's not to say that I've only wrote about good stuff. Absolutely not. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that I allowed myself to be very honest in this book. And I did talk a lot about good stuff that happened in China, but also about bad stuff. I wrote about what I liked about living in China, but also what I absolutely hated. Writing this book was for me a very different way of communicating than what I'm used to here on YouTube. I think when you're just alone with your computer and you put your thoughts on a paper, it's easier to be 100% honest and also just like dig deeper into your own thoughts. When you're sitting in front of a camera and talking, sometimes things don't always come out the way you want them to come out, meaning sometimes you say something that you don't necessarily 100% mean, or people like misunderstand what you're saying. There are of course certain topics that are just also difficult to talk about online because you really need to think about what you're saying. What I mean, For example, racism in China, parties, certain things that happen in those parties, right? Those are things that I haven't really talked about on my YouTube channel, even though they were a big part of my life in China. And I felt way more free to talk about these things in my book. So I think that for those of you who have seen my China videos, I think reading this book will be a completely different experience, and it will be a different conversation. The way I wrote this book was really, I wanted to make you feel like you're having a conversation with me. We're friends, sitting at a table, chatting, and I'm telling you about my experiences and my adventures in China. That's why I wrote this book in a very everyday, casual language. I wrote it in the way I would talk to a friend. I was just basically way more comfortable to share my personal thoughts and opinions in this book, more comfortable than I will ever be on the internet. That's the truth. Something else that I really wanted to say is that even though this book is about China, obviously, because the action of the book happens in China, for me, this book is about so much more. It's about finding your own path in life and fighting for your dreams and fighting for the life that you really want to have, even though people around you might disagree or might not see why you are aiming for that life. So that's why I think that even people who are not particularly interested in China will still enjoy this book. If you decide to get it, it would really mean a lot to me if you could leave a Amazon review. Reviews are crucial for survival of new books on Amazon, so it would really help me out a lot. And obviously, honest review. If you don't like it, let me know as well. Maybe I can improve for my next book. Yeah, but I do hope you guys will like it. I put my freaking heart and soul into this book, and I am really proud of what it turned out to be. So I just really hope you will enjoy it. But life is life. If you have constructive criticism, I would love to hear it as well. Writing this book was a very long journey for me. It took me almost 6 years. It definitely shouldn't have taken me 6 years. Of course, not 6 years of constant writing. It was more like writing for a month, stopping for half a year, and then writing again, and then rewriting the whole thing because it was bad. So basically, because of a very toxic mix of self-doubt and procrastination, it took me a long time to get to the point where I felt comfortable enough to let my baby, my first newborn, out in the world for the world to judge. The reason why I'm saying it, that it took me such a long time, is because I think it can be helpful for someone out there, maybe, if you're trying to create something, whatever it is, if you're a writer or if you want to start your own company or whatever you're doing, really. I think it's really difficult to overcome these two things that I've just mentioned, meaning self-doubt, constantly feeling like you're not good enough, like you're not there yet. That's what I felt this whole time. I felt like my writing is not good enough yet. I should change it. I should wait for a better time in the future where I will, for some reason, be a much better writer than I am right now. And then procrastination. I just basically kept thinking that there will always be a better time in the future where I will have plenty of time to finish the book. And spoiler alert, this time basically never came. I kept pushing it away. I kept thinking like, oh, first I have to graduate from my bachelor's. Then I was like, now I have to graduate from my MBA degree. Like, now I have an exam. Now I just got a new job. The time is not right. The reality is that whatever you're doing, the time will never be right. And if you want to have time for something, you have to make time for it. You have to make effort every single freaking day. Doesn't matter how long it is. It can be 10 minutes. You need to make effort every single day to make your dreams happen, basically. Things really started to change for me when I finally realized that there won't ever be this perfect time when I will finally be the greatest writer ever, or that I will be happy with my own writing. I realized that there will never be a good time, and if I keep procrastinating this dream, this big dream that I had since I was 8 years old, I wanted to write a book since I was 8. Imagine, like, I realized that it will never happen if I just don't freaking pull my shit together and just make it happen and overcome all these toxic thoughts that I had in my head, that I'm not good enough, that no one will read it, that no one will like it. I mean, I still cannot tell you that people will read it or people will like it. I really hope you will, but the thing is, those are things that I cannot control. But what I can control is my own action. Finishing this book, making it into something that I'm personally proud of, and publishing it. This is a huge success for me, and I am proud of it, and I'm proud to share my little baby with you. The idea of writing this book came to me one day at a supermarket, Wujiaochang Walmart, to be even more precise. I basically went grocery shopping when I was in China, and I was buying fruits, and whenever I would buy fruits, this thing would happen to me like every single time I would get fruits in China. I don't know why. Maybe I looked dumb or something. I would put fruits in my basket, and then the lady who was working at the supermarket, she would constantly come to me to tell me that I cannot just put my fruits in my basket and then go and pay for them. I need to weigh them first, which I knew. I knew that. I get that freaking concept. The reason why I was putting them in my own basket was to, like, you know, first pick all the fruits that I wanted, put them in my basket, and then go with everything that I want to the scale and weight them. However, at this time I was in China for maybe about half a year, and my Chinese was not good enough. I couldn't really put the sentence together. I was trying to explain to her in my very poor Chinese that I know this, I get it, I just want to pick my fruits first and then go and weight them. And then all of a sudden there was another lady there who was a foreigner as well, and she saw me struggling and she helped me out. She told the lady, because she could speak fluent Mandarin, so she told the lady that I know that I'm picking up my fruits and I will weight them. And then we started talking in the line to weight our fruits. We started talking, and she was British. She was probably in her 70s. And she told me that she is writing a book, about the time when she was young and she moved from UK to India. She lived in Goa, and then later on she moved to Hong Kong with her husband and sort of, you know, raised a family in Hong Kong. And I remember being like, oh my god, this sounds so exciting. This sounds like something I would personally want to read. Since I was a young kid, I was always really fascinated by the fact that people can live in different places in the world, and I was fascinated by the fact that your life is so different depending where you come from. And that's when it hit me. Standing there in Walmart, I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is what I should write about. I should write about my experience living in China. And that day, after doing my grocery at Walmart, I basically went home to the dorm, and I sat down at my desk and I started writing. And I realized that I had so many stories, that I've experienced so many things in China that I wanted to share with people. And beside my own experiences, I've realized that I met so many interesting people in China who told me their stories. Because one thing I have to say about China is that whenever people ask me why I loved living in China so much, one of the first things I say is that China attracts a lot of interesting people, and I will always stand by this. When I came back home after that first year in China, I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books that other foreigners wrote about their experience living in China, and I realized that there is a gap in the market. One thing is, of course, also that there are not that many books in first place. There's still not that many foreigners who wrote about their experience living in China. Of course, there are some, but it's still quite limited. However, I realized that there's no book on the market that talks about what is it like to be a very young person, what is it like to be a student living and studying in Shanghai. So I was like, okay, I want to write a book and show people how freaking exciting fascinating but also difficult at times it is to be a young person, a foreigner, navigating through life in a city of 25 million people. I wanted to talk about things that are very, well, unique for the age that I was in. I want to talk about friendships and parties and dealing with expectations from your parents and family and racism in school, the relationship we had with our teachers, the differences between Chinese students and international students, different rules that applied to people who lived on the same campus. I wanted to write about why some foreigners get paid by nightclubs to party. I wanted to write about what is it like to go on a Chinese university spring break trip where you're not allowed to leave your room after 10 p.m. and you have to meet at 6 a.m. every single day. So even though the journey for me to publish this book was a long one and also a difficult one, I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and I am very happy and very proud about how the book turned out. And the only thing I can say is that I really hope that you guys will like it. Please let me know what you think. As I said, even if you have some constructive criticism or just criticism, whatever, I would love to hear it. I've worked on it for so long that at this point I just want to hear it all. I want to be a better writer. This is the very first book that I've ever wrote, so I really did learn a lot in the process. And yeah, I just want to say that I hope this book can inspire you to really go for your dreams, to live the life that you really want to live and not care that much about what other people think about your decisions. When I went to China, when I decided to go to China, like out of the blue, everyone thought I was crazy and my friends couldn't really understand my decision. And when I first came to China, I couldn't really understand my own decision, to be fair. Like, I was struggling so much, I was so lost, which is something I talk about a lot in the book, how much I freaking struggled in the beginning. The very first chapter of my book is called The Worst Decision of My Life, because I did think that I made the worst decision of my life moving to China. But then overcoming all these challenges and learning to navigate through life so far away from home, being by myself, turned me into who I am today, turned me into a very independent person. And even though I kind of feel like I got a little lost lately, I feel like I'm coming back. I'm coming back on track. Yeah, okay, now I'm like turning this into some sort of like confessional. China was a freaking adventure, one of the best adventures of my life. And with this book, I want to share this amazing adventure with you, and I really hope you will like it as much as I did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you soon.